is Phương Nguyễn. Again, I'm the CEO of Tona Santa Cruz Solar. We provide, propose, and invest the net zero energy solution for C&I sectors. And with our panel today, then I would like to invite them to introduce about themselves. Yeah, please, Ms. Hin. Mr. Jessica.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Ngachen, Vietnam Country Manager of Glam Capital Management, a Singapore-based fund manager of CSEP, the first blended equity investment fund supported by leading international foundation, private and public investor like IFC, World Bank, ADI, Swedfund, Nordfund, ZIAF to direct early-stage high-risk investment capital into decarbonization platform in critical markets in Southeast Asia like Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia.
Hello everyone, my name is Hiền. I'm coming from Versus. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with you all today. It's quite challenging, to be frank, coming from a company like Versus with a shut-up audience. But I hope I could start by sharing a bit about Versus and why we do what we do. And I believe that it ties into some of the key themes of the today's discussion. So Versus is a Danish company that had grown to become one of the world's largest wind turbine manufacturers and a global leader in wind energy solutions. So we have installed over 190 gigawatts of wind turbines across 88 countries all around the world. And our vision is to lead the transition to a sustainable energy future because we believe in the power of renewables in ensure, the long-term energy security and in developing a more sustainable planet for our future generation. And coming back to our presence in Vietnam, to give you a sense, we are currently servicing more than 400 turbines across Vietnam that power approximately 5 million Vietnamese households annually, and that help avoid more than 3 million of CO2 at 3 million metric tons of CO2 emission each year compared to using fossil fuel. So I'm looking forward to engaging with all the panelists and also the audience for discussion today.
Hello guys, my name is Hao Lee. I'm from Central Retail in Vietnam. I might not have the the experience in the industry like my two colleagues here, but what I want to bring today is from a very practical business point of view for my company retail sector. Why I'm here today? In my past life, working as a strategy consultant, I was lucky to be involved in a couple of renewable energy and sustainability projects. So I thought that was quite interesting and inspiring. So as soon as I got my boss's green light to lead, to drive actually sustainability initiatives in our companies, trying to coordinate 15,000 colleagues across the country to act on the same direction, I put my hand up. So I'm here today to actually get more inspiration and learn from you guys actually and share what I know from a practical point of view. So pleasure to be here.
Great. Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Juncker. I'm originally from Switzerland and I've been living in Vietnam since 2021. I started a company called Smart Solar. We provide end-to-end simple solar solution with no upfront cost for SMEs. And I hope I can add a bit of a perspective maybe from the smaller segment. My customers typically are your neighborhood gym or your neighborhood food store.
So great. I believe that you already see then how diverse of the background and also from the industry, then from our wonderful panelists today. And hopefully then we could... we want to bring a really impactful and some takeaway during our discussion, and it's make your afternoon meaning. Okay. As ordered by the organizer before coming to the discussions, then our panel today would cover 4 sessions. The first is the overview of the renewable energies, the story of evolving renewable energy in Vietnam, how it works, and what would be the futures. And then we would focus on 3 main areas that we see the role of renewable energy sectors as a driver. The first is how renewable energy sector can really drive and help the economic and trade under global challenge recently, especially for Vietnam. The second is how renewable energy sector can help us embrace the innovations without trading the environment quality. And last but not least, when we talk about energies, the infrastructures, and that require long-term investment and commitment, meaning investment is the first of everything, of course, after policies. Then the third section would be how we can prolong or, let's say, scale up the investment partnership in Vietnam. So these are the key themes for our section today. First of all, I would walk you through the very generic and comprehensive picture of renewable energy in Vietnam. I hope that it's not really cover all, but other than that, I can give you just very three key things. Renewable energy in Vietnam, especially solar and wind. Many of you might have known that Vietnam jumped from almost no one to someone very special in the Southeast Asia region just after 7 years. So before 2017, we are below 100 megawatt. And can you imagine until now, we already have a 24,000 megawatt peak installed capacity, and we are the top 2 in Southeast Asia. And in terms of growth, the growth rate, so we are the top 2 globally. What makes us grow like that? So first, the renewable energy driver for such growth of renewable energy sector in Vietnam are, we have to commend our government because they are very active to make the policy in place. We say in place. So we have first a decree 13 since the early 2017 and 19. And up till now, we have an electricity law, decree 57 to facilitate DPPA, Decree 58 to facilitate the self-produced consumption, the Decree 61 which cover all the operation licensing. So and last but not least, that the revised Power Development Plan 8. With all of those, we can be seen that we are now have the pathway to go. Second thing, that is the demand for affordable and accessible energies. So that is the goal number 7 of the Sustainable Development Goal overall. The other 3 factors that impact a lot to the driver and make the renewable energy sector grow so fast, that is the global trade context and challenge that we already know. Low carbon product supply chain sectors is not a choice, that is imperative. So we are engaged in CBAM, U.S. new tariff, and the ESGs with the conference today focus. The other factor that we mentioned about the innovation, which AI and big data is the backbone. And the CEO of OpenAI just shared 2 days ago. In the end, the cost of AI would be the cost of the energies. Robots can make chips, but the electron is the electron. So that's, we can hardly find any country in the world now that not planning the share of renewable energy below 50% of their energy mix. So meaning the cost or the investment for the renewable energies is also reflecting the cost for the energy sector. Last but not least, we are on here today in this room, in this conference. We all have one common goal, no matter which sector we come from. That is, we have to protect our planet. We have the common goal that is to keep all of us stay away from the global warming, excess 1.5 Celsius degree. And we just have a 5 years to go, 2030. It is manageable, achievable, or questionable. So these are 5 factors are the key driver for the renewable energy sector in Vietnam so far. And that's here you can see some we try to bring some key number. In Vietnam, economic scenario development, we may have a different scenario. But in all scenario, you can see here from the baseline, business as usual, or net zero, or green growth, the share of renewable energy would account for minimum 50% until 2030. And until 2050, there could be up to 80%. Yes, that's from Vietnam. And then globally, renewable energy have to be triple from today in the next 5 years. Whether it's achievable. And the energy efficiency, whatever rate we are, we have to double that rate. Those are opportunities, but also there's a lot of things to do. And in this panel today, we also hear from our experts and panelists to share. And then with the second part would be how we unlock the renewable energy sector potential in Vietnam. And then we have our investor, we have a stake from the off-taker, we have a technology leader here to share. But 3 key things, possibility to unlocking this potential, that is financings, that is technological enhancement, and the long-term green finance commitment. Yeah. So I hope that I not assess my time allowance, and then we could immediately start our discussion right now. With the very first section that is focused on how renewable energy sector in Vietnam can drive the sustainable economic growth in Vietnam, and how it provide a portfolio of landscape for the enterprise and corporate to go net zero. For this first question, I would like to invite Ms. Jessica to give a perspective on that.
Thanks, Phương. The global trade demand shift to Asia, we all know that, and it creates amazing opportunity for Vietnam, not only to diversify the export market, but also pivot from carbon-intensive manufacturing toward greener production. Look at regional perspective. Like you said, Vietnam is front runner in Southeast Asia clean energy transition, with the energy demand growing about 12% annually to support 7 to 8% GDP growth. The country set clear fundamentals for investment in renewable energy, battery storage, grid infrastructure, energy efficiency platform, while strategically shifting from regulated wholesale electricity market toward competitive retail models. Thanks to the very high-level overview about Vietnam context, and when we look through the progressive structural reform recently, Vietnam is moving forward with clearer regulatory pathway and also bankable investment structure. And these steps are essential steps for the country to achieve its BDPA target of more than 180 gigawatt installed capacity, about 43% of solar and wind in the national energy mix, even in the low scenario, about 11 gigawatt of solar and wind power, and about 3 gigawatt of energy storage to be added annually, and a minimum about 2% improvement in the energy efficiency. So with the context like that, I'm sure that Vietnam energy transition will be much more mature, and also support the country to stay competitive under CBAM, the Green Trade Framework, securing supply chain decarbonization and being export resilient.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think it's a very important to listen to the off-taker perspective. Ms. Ho, I believe that you have a lot of things to share from Central Retail, which is the leading retailer in Vietnam. Yeah.
So it's just a note before I start. Central Retail in Vietnam, we operate retail malls, family malls, and then food, grocery, hypermarket and supermarket stores, as well as non-food. For example, sports, apparel, shoes, etc., electronics as well. So in our ecosystem, we have roughly 200 plus stores now. So energy consumption is one of the biggest costs actually in our operations. And in Central Retail Vietnam, we strike very hard to try to, one, reduce our impact actually, but then also to look at reducing cost. I think the question is quite interesting. I feel is renewable energy and energy efficiency help to put Vietnam as a, maintain competitive in the world export market, like you just mentioned with the tariff negotiation ongoing. I feel that whatever happens, right, we'll wait and see with the negotiation. But already our businesses in the country need to start thinking already how we can further reduce the cost and reduce impact. Reducing costs, you have many levers. Could electricity be one of it? And could renewable energy be one of it? I feel definitely yes. Because we do not want to pass on this direct cost, inflation from the taxes to, potentially exports. And I feel that that's quite important to do. Renewable energy is one thing, but I also want to talk, I don't know if I could be off topic, energy efficiency is also key as well. For us, we are striving every day to find solutions. I don't know any of you guys here who have some solutions for us, but to think of ways to reduce the electricity consumptions. Either it's some equipment that you can offer, solutions you can offer, but I feel overall it's very important to part of maintaining Vietnam's strategic position in the global market, global trade, but as well domestically, and in reducing our footprint and impact.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So there's no doubt that renewable energy plus advanced energy efficiency and technologies in not just an energy supply, but that can be seen as the transformative economic forces. Why? Because it increases the competitiveness of not just corporate level, but also the country level. We can't talk with any consumer, any market without going green, right? With that, we already witnessed how renewable energies in Vietnam, especially solar and wind, for utility scale, fastly evolve, develop, but still we not really overcome on the obstacle. And we have a very, let's say, strong line of project we call in transition project. And those projects already invested, but not yet COD, or COD, but not yet come to the grid, meaning there's a big waste of technologies, of investment, and in the end, natural, social resource. So how to make it bankable from the investor point of view, and how you use the planned capital for those projects to help the country facilitate or accelerate the net zero. Ms. Jessica, can you please provide that?
Challenge question, yeah. So as a blended equity investor, having support from junior chance and senior chance, with the ticket of investment up to $15 million per investment, CSEF aim to generate bankable investment structures that help to the risk and also support a wide range of investors engaged in Southeast Asia low-carbon energy transition. With 23 LP robust backing, CSEF is instrumental to mitigate risk in high-risk, high-growth countries like Vietnam and Southeast Asia, demonstrate impact that match with the values that many investors are looking for. We also have to make investment ready because with the risk already. So it become attractive, accessible in the capital market. And we together enhance capacity building for the climate tech ecosystem, and very important, create co-investment opportunity, and together contribute to the government target, and we hope that we can unlock 27 billion US dollar green finance to match with the PDP8 very ambitious target every year.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are tip into the very critical topic that is green, long-term, committed finance, which we will come back later on. And now we move to the second angle that we see the contributions of renewable energy sector, that is the innovations and environment. The first questions could be, how will the renewable energies can facilitate or enable the innovations in Vietnam? So this question I would like to invite Kevin.
Yeah. So for my customers, they are your neighborhood gym or so. For them, it's actually they consume electricity from the national grid. There's a monopoly company called EVN. So if they want to go green, actually they don't have so many options. And a solar system is quite expensive. On average, for my customers, it's around $20,000 to $30,000. Oftentimes, they maybe don't have the money, or also they don't really want to invest this money because they're not fully sure solar will work for them, right? So we try to take this risk away for them in the way that we finance it, and so that they just get savings every month. So I think we try to, you were talking earlier about bankable, right? My customer, I think none of them are bankable. Actually, I tried myself, go to the bank. I said, hey, I have an SME. I even said it's in Thao Dien, a nice neighborhood in Ho Chi Minh, to impress the bank lady. And she told me, if you don't have $1 million in revenue, no way you can get a loan. And I think none of my customers right now has $1 million in revenue, right? So we are trying to provide basically a lending solution, a solar system for them, and trying to do a credit score with alternative credit scoring, so that we can still lend to this segment. Because at the end of the day, so far, all my customers have paid their bills. So in my experience so far, they are actually kind of bankable, but a bank would not consider them. And so that's where we use a lot of technology to help them actually get a lower electricity price, and also, they can contribute to the environmental goals of Vietnam.
Thank you. So innovation is not just in the technologies, but then the solution of financing should be innovative as well, right? Then we would like to explore how the innovations and environment goal is achieved or is enabled in central retail practice. Ms. Ho, can you please share that?
Can you repeat the questions again, sir?
Yeah. So, the renewable energies is, let's say, largely applied, especially for solars in central retails. And you are also considering energy efficiency, so to say, as an innovation factors. How do you see the role of, let's say, here, solars and energy efficiency can accelerate the innovation factors of your of central retail and the let's say sustainability goal?
Yeah. Very, very interesting question. How do I put this? Because we are off-taker, we will not actually invest in the equipment or the projects for renewable energy. What we do is we work with different partners to either look at solar panel is actually quite popular amongst within our organization. Yes, we want to do more currently we have about 27 solar panels installed in our malls and stores. We want to do so much more, actually. But actually, it's not up to us. It's more a process working with the partners and such. So that's something that we cannot control. We try to push, and with regulations, with partners' readiness, it's something that we need to take step by step. But otherwise, what we do internally is it kind of pushes us to think a bit outside the box, to see where we can save, or see where we can save electricity, reduce our footprint. For example, what we do is some of my colleagues, when they are working to design the malls that we are going to build, they would have to follow some sort of standards. And they are exploring different standards that we can bring even further energy reduction. Or by switching to Instead of air chill cooler, we use water cooler, which our technical colleagues are saying it's about 30% more efficient than air, right? So these are the things that we need to kind of, keep pushing ourselves, keep finding solutions. For example, in a very practical example from our hypermarket store, if you go to the grocery store, I guess everyone goes, when you get to the dairy sections with the milk, the yogurt, it's usually quite open space, so you just reach your hands and grab your yogurt to go. But you don't know behind the scene, without any barriers to this cold storage, the energy will just leak out, right? So we are thinking, we just sit and have a look at our store and see, is that something that we can actually do something about, So we actually some of our colleagues, thanks to very creative brains that we have within the group, they actually think of, can we put a door or some sort of panel to stop the cold air from leaking out into the environment, and hence try to reduce a little bit the energy consumptions within the store in each of the small pieces of equipment that we have within the store. So that's the sort of level of details that we look into. And no mean we are the best in this country or in the industry. We are still taking, baby step to learn. Happy to hear any potential solutions or any, experience that you guys have around the room to help us to do better. And the goal is, cost is one thing, but also to look at the sustainability, development, the long-term commitment that we have with the country as well. So those are the few things. A couple more, without getting too much technical, because I'm not one technical person, but what my colleagues are doing as well is looking at exploring potential battery storage with our solar panel. That would be a great couple, where we can, with our solar panel during the day, the electricity generation is quite healthy, right? But then at night, it's almost like we're switching back to the national grid. So we're looking at exploring different battery storage solutions or equipment that can help us to store some of the excess that we have during the day and make use it at night or at peak hours to reduce cost, but also consumption. So that's the sort of initiatives we try to explore and implement within our group, actually.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I believe we all agree that it's the user to try technologies, not the other way around. Because at the users, at the big spectrum, then you want to have a low cost, high efficiencies, and then at the same time business grow, but without trading off any value for our planet. And that makes the technologies evolved every day. And we all know that after the last 10 years, then the cost or the levelized cost of energies in solar, in wind already decreased 10 times, or let's say 90%, especially in solar. Now we would like to invite our experts in the wind turbine energies, Ms. Hin. She will share with us what kind of technologies to really bring down or optimize the cost of the LCOEs that can bring to Vietnam. You can also please reflect your reference in other countries.
Yeah, for sure. So my short answer is all the innovative technologies that make green energy more affordable for everyone should be deployed in Vietnam. And I'll elaborate on this. So some people argue that renewable energy is an alternative, but we believe it's already in the mainstream. And we have seen a fast transformation in the energy sector as the technological advance indeed experiencing a rapid growth over the past few years. And again, it has been a significant drop in terms of the cost of energy. And we are seeing an incredibly lower price for wind and solar and other renewable energy sources. And in fact, in many markets, renewables now even cheaper than fossil energy. And we also seen some major corporations like Apple, Nike. We have Central Retail on the stage and other member of RE100 or Science-Based Target. They investing heavily in renewables. And they are doing this not just to make them look good, but it actually makes an economic sense. And I believe this is a very powerful transformation. And what is that leading to? The entire energy sector needs to, adapt to the rapidly deployment of renewables, especially utility scale. And we have seen the new energy system, the policy mechanism that evolving to accommodate a more flexible power source compared to the traditional energy. And as importantly, the innovation in the storage technologies are playing a very crucial role here as well. And I think one of the last arguments that in favor of the fossil fuel is that wind and solar are intermittent and unreliable. But when a more affordable storage start coming into play, and we're actually seeing that storage is now coming down to the place where the price level is quite competitive. And we're gonna see a system of wind and solar and storage being the mainstream in the energy mix going forward. And taking all these factors into the consideration, and I think that Vietnam is no different, and we are not reinventing the wheel. And we're gonna see a similar trend here. So a hybrid system of wind and solar and storage will lead the way to make green energy affordable for everyone, and it will eventually attract the investment.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your sharings, Ms. Hint. You encourage us, not just in our panel, but on people here, that is, don't worry about the technologies. As long as we have a strong commitment from user, from the investor, and of course, from the policies maker, then we make a change. And that change is not a choice, that is imperative. And then that's why that leads us to the next sections about the investment and partnership. Assess the infrastructure, especially energy sector, that is the long-term investment. And here we also see normally that's more than 20 years. And it's hardly for us to see any technologies that can last more than 20 years. That requires the long-term commitment investment. So we look at our country, our current policy forecast, whether the current setup already facilitates the long-term investment and partnership here in Vietnam. With this, I could divide into two sections. The first section would be that we need to know what is the factors that defines a successful partnership in the renewable energy sector between the off-takers and the investor. I think all of us can share the investment of the point of view from the off-taker and also from the investor. Firstly, then maybe Ms. Nga, she active as the long-term commitment investor in these sectors. What factor you see that make the partnership could last long?
As an investor, we always look at the return of investment and how to mitigate risk. And it must match with the value that the investor is looking for. Mm-hmm. So I think that with me, there are three pillars for successful renewable energy investment. Mm-hmm. First one, every time is the regulatory framework, because it will help us to mitigate legal risk and also market risk, like curtailment. Yeah. Long-term contract, 20 years is very long, okay? And the second one is bankable investment structure. I think that is improving now because like Kevin said, you go directly to the bank. But in the beginning, you need to look for equity investor. And then your project can be financed, your balance sheets can be financed, the bank will review it. But immediately you go to the debt financing. It is not true how it works in the capital market. Okay, and finally, I think it's important is the alignment between international and local partner. So we need to force for private, public, and philanthropy partnership, and not only innovation, AI, IoT-based device, or something very far. We need to be really innovative in the way we approach and create a win-win solution so that the developer, the investor, the off-taker, the government will benefit from a together journey of the country climate target.
Thank you very much. I think you give not just us here, but also the government a big task how to solve the cross-dissimilar sectors so that in the end we can comprehend some first core value between the off-taker and the investor. Second thing is must be bankable in the end, in whatever term we want to say. Bankable here, if we want to look at a very positive meaning, is it efficient and is it effective itself of the system? The system and then on the stakeholder in renewable project must have a long-term view. And the long-term view will not give any shortcut in technologies, in building up, in trading off quality, safety. So that is the meaning of the bankability that we want to mention here. And that's also the same perspective, but Kevin, can you share from your experience how it look like?
Yeah, maybe on the regulatory framework, you were saying in the beginning, in the last 7 years, Vietnam has come a long way, and I think we see that, and I think that's awesome. But if I think about my investors, they're from the US, they're from Europe, where they want me to go. The regulatory framework in Europe allows you to, for my kind of customers, we can add a battery, we can trade with the national grid, we can get paid for this. So all these things, they're actually not allowed today, right? So that means if I put a big system, somebody has a big roof, but he's not at home, if we produce more electricity, we actually cannot sell it to the grid, right? So it's wasted. So there's a lot of things. And, Vietnam just passed a new law. So hopefully later this year we can sell a certain part to the grid. But, hopefully, my dream in 10 years is that Vietnam keeps improving on the regulation so that we can follow in the footsteps of more advanced electricity markets and take even more advantage of what's possible.
Yeah, thank you. So different investors have a different appetite and different requirement. And we are in Vietnam with huge potentials of renewable energies that we need to hand in hand to unlock that potentials, right? If we're looking at the partnership experience, I believe then Ms. Ho and Central Retail have a lot of experience. Can you share with us, it's not factor, but then let's say the challenges or the lesson learned, if it can be positive, it can be need to improve, whatever, sure. When you partner.
Yeah. So we've been quite lucky during our journey here, lucky, yes, but we also meet some challenges during the way. For example, in the early days when, like you said, the regulations came a long way, 10 years recently. But what we bump into during our journey is that the policies are there, but the implementation of it by local government, local authorities, it differs, and each province will have different interpretation of it. So that's something that we and our partners kind of meet when we further expand our renewable energy footprint. But from a partner's selection point of view, in the early days, where regulations were, all this tariff were new, I'm not an expert, but just a general view, when the policies were new, there was a lot of investors trying to get, these projects. Their sole purpose is not to actually operate and commit long-term to the market, but more on surfing the projects and try to sell it to the next operator at a profit. And so when we deal and enter into negotiation and discussion with these partners. As soon as they sell, or able to sell, then it changes the whole the whole journey, right? So then we have to start again from zero ground with the new owners, for example. So that's something that we really appreciate a partner that are kind of long-term view, because we're here, long-term view with Vietnam. Our vision is to, contribute to Vietnam's prosperity and also the life, enhance the life of the people here. So we select our partners based on that value, actually. During the way, we have partners who drop out, a few years operation. They kind of, due to whatever technical, financial reasons, they exit the country. And that's where we fall into a very difficult situation as well. So I feel, just to make it short, financial, technical capabilities are must. But then relationship with the local authorities to kind of tackle some of the implementation of the policies. But the most important is a long-term view into the country, investment into the country and in the people, and not really short-term gain. Are something that I feel personally, and I think as a group, we really appreciate that sort of characters when we look for long-term partners. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. So from policy perspective, also user, but then the investor, come and stay. Please don't come and go, right? Ms. Hin, I believe that you come from the super large wind technologies. So from your point, from your perspective, how to, or with critical that really have to scale up the investment, for example, Vitas in Vietnam or in the regions? Yeah.
All right. So the context here is we're trying to face the challenge of a sustainable growth and how we look to solve it as we hold a dual challenge of a greater demand of the power so that people can prosper, can industrialize, create jobs and employments. But at the same time, we need to manage the carbon footprint. And from our perspective, to unlock other investment strategy for the utility scale energy projects in Vietnam, it would come down to the end-to-end development process. So first up, it would come to the question of the project bankability for sure, that involve the tariff, the term and the condition in the power purchase agreement, and the capital access that make the project financially viable. And secondarily, the credit worthiness of the off-taker that ensure the revenue certainty. And another factor is it is demonstrated that having a diverse mix in the power source is crucial for a resilient energy system. And if the increase in the power demand only burdens the grid and create more congestion curtailments if we don't ramp up the investment in the grid optimization and expansion. And finally, taking the environmental, social, and governance into the investment consideration. For example, doing the community engagement, support the local community in the project proximity, not only during the development or construction phase, but during the entire lifespan of operation of the project. And speaking of scaling up, Vietnam, through the Power Development Plan 8, has set a very ambitious target. And speaking of wind in particular, so it would be 26 gigawatt of installed capacity, which means 5 years to go to install more 20 gigawatts. So,
the 5 times, right? That's a 5 times compared to the current capacities.
So, but luckily that the wind industry in Vietnam has been well established. And I would say that we already installed more than 6 gigawatts already. So the challenge is it has been standstill for a couple of years. So a lot of resources and capabilities may have been demobilized, may have been moved out of the country. Yep. Another challenge to meet the target is that it's to reactivating the local supply chain local partners, and again, mobilizing the financial resources. And last but not least, is to develop the local workforce for those. But at the end of the day, we still believe that Vietnam is very resilient to the changing dynamics, and with a robust regulatory frameworks in place, we believe that Vietnam could ramp up pretty quickly. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So you give us the key takeaway that we have to be resilient in no matter how the situation turn us up and down, right? Thank you for your attention, for your listening. And please don't forget our common goal today until the next 5 years, then try to stay away the global warming 1.5 Celsius degree. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.